Good morning. Welcome back to Bald Father Bets, everyone. We got college football Saturday. Give you a quick recap of Friday. We had 2 games last night. But first, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel, notifications on. Give this video some love. Like, share, comment. Let me know what you guys think of this banger slate of a college football Saturday that we have today. And then it just continues all into the week. I mean, Friday night was electric last night. We had 2 amazing games. Virginia, Florida State, Arizona State, TCU. This is a great day. We have NFL Sunday tomorrow morning with the Europe Tour kicking off, all into NFL Sunday all day long. And then we got a good Monday night. Well, we have an okay Monday Night Football matchup. Yeah, I got a little too excited about the Monday Night Football matchup. I mean, there's 2 games. That's cool. But the really good one is Bengals-Broncos if Joe Burrow was healthy, and he's not. So, bummer. But anyway, we're focused on Saturday right now. The kid, I think his name is Carson, for the Pat McAfee kick challenge, just nailed that field goal. So I mean, vibes are high. So quick recap: yesterday we were on Virginia plus the 7.5. Obviously that cashed, and then we had Virginia plus 7 at halftime with our community post that cashed. So it was a 2-unit win there. Virginia won outright. Probably the coolest field storming I've ever seen in my life. It happened so fast. I hope those 2 players in the end zone aren't dead right now from getting trampled. But that was electric. And then Arizona State TCU, if you stayed up for that one, that game was electric too. Jordan Tyson for ASU, dog. But just phenomenal game. Really good scene in Tempe, Arizona as well. So then that cashed 2 units. So 4-0 Friday yesterday. Let's continue that into today. So in our noon slate window, we got 2 games going. We've given you one. We gave you Arkansas plus 5.5 for 2 units. We're adding 1 more unit on that. We can't get 5.5 anymore, so we're adding 1 more, Arkansas plus 5. So we got Arkansas plus 5 for a unit, Arkansas plus 5.5 for 2 units, and then we're taking USC minus 6 for 2 units against Illinois. So what we're looking at here in Arkansas and Notre Dame, we're looking at a high-scoring game, we think, in Arkansas and Notre Dame. Have a lot of concern with Notre Dame's ability on defense, really, to stop Arkansas at this point. The only thing that stopped Arkansas so far this year on offense has been themselves. Taylon Green has been phenomenal. Bobby Petrino has that thing clicking. The game's in Fayetteville. I just don't see Notre Dame getting a lot of push on defense to get a stop here. Also, with the health concerns with regards to Leonard Moore, that's huge. I've said for a long time now, Leonard Moore is the best cornerback in college football. I've followed him since he was a recruit in high school and coming out of Texas, and he can do everything. He can play coverage corner, he can play zone. You could actually drop him back to safety, and he's solid. He can play the nickel. He's just amazing. And when you lose that chess piece on defense, or even hampered, honestly, it's such a big loss to Notre Dame's defense. I do not think Arkansas is going to stop Notre Dame, though. I think Arkansas gives up like 5 yards a carry. If Notre Dame can't run the ball in this game, they can't run the ball anywhere. But they've been fine on offense, and CJ Carr's been good. I think you're going to get an absolute banger, high-scoring game that comes down to something late. Don't know if I would necessarily take I don't know if I'd necessarily think Arkansas is live here, but I like the 5.5 and I like the 5. With USC Illinois, we've been saying it since all off season, guys. We don't think Illinois is a good team on this channel. Named my video, Indiana's going to blow out Illinois last week. They weren't a good team last year. They're not a good team this year. I don't see Illinois really keeping pace with USC here. We think USC is very good. We've said that for a while. I think Michigan State is a better team than Illinois. And USC, outside of giving up a last-second backdoor cover to Michigan State last week, I mean, they beat up on Michigan State pretty good. Michigan State got a fumble that kind of kept them in that thing. We like USC. I know all the talk about the 9 a.m. kickoff. I think maybe a little bit too much, honestly, is now being made of it. I know the 2 time zone travel. I usually fade 2 time zone travel. But this thing being under a touchdown, these teams aren't really on the same plane with each other. And I trust Lynn a little bit here. I do. I trust him on defense to get enough stops to give USC a 7, 10, 11 point victory, something like that on the road. I do think there's a chance it's ugly early. I do think there's a chance that in this game, like if you wanted to have an Illinois first half bet or a first quarter bet, I wouldn't advise against that, honestly. I do think it's going to be a little, because Illinois is going to be juiced. They're going to be pumped. They want to show everyone that they're not ass. I just think USC is going to be too much for them for a full 4 quarters. This is the closest Lincoln Riley has had on offense in his time at USC to what he had in his days at OU, where he had an actual rushing attack combined with a system passing attack that was formidable. Maiava's a really good QB for his system. Best QB he's ever had in his system's Baker, obviously, just due to accuracy. He's not that, but like Maiava fits the system better than Caleb Williams or maybe even Jalen Hurts did, honestly. Kyler was just such an athletic freak that it's hard to say Maiava's better in the system than Kyler was, but Maiava's really good in it. So we like USC there, minus the 6 for 2 units. Then we go into the 3:30 window. We'll start off with Kinnick, so Iowa and Indiana. We're taking Iowa plus the 9.5 for 2 units. Don't love this one. There is a bunch of games where the number was too high last year and Indiana still covered. Because when they have an advantage, they tend to just absolutely beat the shit out of teams. But in theory, Iowa should muck this one up. They really should. They have some matchup advantages against Indiana. And they slow games down. I know it's been a while since they've had one of those big true upsets in Kinnick, and I know we associate it with it, but when you really think back, it's been a minute since they've truly upset someone in Kinnick. Sorry, coffee. Well, this is actually just straight espresso on ice, but yeah. But we just think 9.5 is too much. There's enough of a chance of a muck-up with the game being in Kinnick that I would rather be on that side than be on the side of laying it with Indiana. I really don't think Iowa's live. You're going to know pretty early whether or not we have a chance to cover the 9 in this one. You'll know pretty early. We already gave you guys Ole Miss minus 2 for 2 units. We're adding Ole Miss minus 1 for a unit, or we already added it. I don't know. I can't remember. I don't like LSU. I don't think they're really all that good. Been kind of saying that since week 2-ish. They haven't really done anything all that impressive in any of their games. And they don't really have a formidable running attack. And I don't know how much longer they can keep relying on Blake Baker to be like one of the best defensive coordinators in college football to be saving them. God, he's been amazing this year. So far, he's coordinator of the year. But they've just been so schematically sound on defense, and that is what has rescued them throughout this whole year so far. And I don't know, with how good Kiffin and Ole Miss's offense is, I just don't know if that's what they're going to be able to rely on in this game. This game also has a wild trend of home team winning. And the Grove will be up for this one. The Grove will definitely be up for this one. Look for Ole Miss to try and put pressure on Garrett Nussmeier to make them win the game. Keyword is try, because Ole Miss hasn't really been great on defense at all. Although what they did last week against Tulane, holding Tulane to 3 points, either 3 points or 3 points until like 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, was very impressive. Tulane has a good offense, guys. And that just kind of got glossed over last week a little bit. People were like, oh yeah, okay, almost beat Tulane. But they beat the shit out of Tulane. And it wasn't just that they offensively, yeah, everyone knew they'd score on offense, but like defensively, they held their own against Tulane. It was impressive. We have Auburn plus 7 for 3 units. Already gave that one out to you guys. Like Auburn in a bounce back spot here. Still have concerns with A&M, mainly A&M on offensive line. I was texting my buddy college football Sam last night, and I was like, have you noticed that all these teams that we had preseason that were like offensive line is a non-negotiable for them? So like Notre Dame, Alabama, A&M, Florida, Penn State, I think we talked about it, like they've all had issues offensive line to start the season. There hasn't really been a single offensive line that has just been, oh my gosh, look at that unit. A&M's had some issues on offensive line. I think Auburn on defensive line will have some opportunity there. I also am concerned with A&M's ability to keep up with the deep threats, Coleman and Eric Singleton and the Auburn wideout. OU managed it is the best way. No one's going to neutralize that wide receiver unit. Ohio State fans, close your ears, but I think Auburn has the best wide receiver unit in the country, and I think they've shown it through 4 games. I mean, Smith is the best wide receiver in the country, but when you put what Auburn has all together, that's tough, and they complement each other so well. Singleton is such a jackknife, and then Coleman's such a deep threat. It's really, really difficult to contend with that. Playing at Kyle Field's going to be tough for Auburn. These are 2 monster road games back to back. But I like what I've seen out of Auburn so far this season. I think you'll see some fight in this one for sure. We gave you guys Washington plus 8.5 for 2 units against Ohio State. We're adding another unit on Washington plus 9. Really, really difficult spot travel-wise for Ohio State. Don't know how they will defend Williams. I have an idea of what Patricia's going to do. I think you're going to see this is the game. I think you're going to see Patricia bring out a little bit more of his elements in terms of a lineup wise, like pre-snap how they line up. I think you'll see some elements of a 3-4. I think you may even see some elements of a 3-3-5, where Downs is essentially a hybrid of a 4 or a 5. I'm really curious how much 4-3 they use, or how much 4-2-5 they use, because if you commit 4 down linemen in this game, and you're going to play man on the back end, and Williams starts to get past the 4 down linemen, and you don't have a lot committed to spying him. I don't know how many of you guys have actually watched Williams play. He's shiftiness and quickness and all that stuff. He's the closest thing we've seen to like Kyler or Lamar since they've played. He's a problem. Now, if Ohio State shuts him down, then they'll blow him out, because like I think Washington's missing their top cornerback, so Ohio State's going to have success throwing the ball today. I think Smith's in for probably a pretty big day up there in Washington. But I also am still concerned a little bit with Ohio State's offense, and the balance in it. I'm concerned with Sayin a little bit on the deep ball, and I'm concerned with their rushing attack some. I think by the end of the year they'll be fine. But Sayin reminds me a little bit more of McCord than Stroud or Howard. Not in a bad way, because Kyle McCord's a very good quarterback. but just in terms of what the offense looks like with the different QBs that they've had. In the running game, yeah, they didn't run the ball against Texas. Nobody runs the ball against Texas, but I expected a little bit more than in the following weeks. And maybe they use the bye week to figure it out. I don't know. We'll see. This is a big test for them, and they can make a statement if they go up to Washington and beat the shit out of them. But it's just a little bit too many points for that atmosphere. And if you let Washington hang around early, that place is gonna get live. That's the loudest stadium, I think, in the country. Oregon fans, close your ears, but I think that's the loudest stadium in the country. I do. Also, the way, like, it's always like cloudy. So there's just something about it. It's an atmosphere that truly jolts Washington. And traveling from Columbus out there is tough. It really is. You saw the effect it had on Ohio State last year when they went out to Oregon. So yeah, we like Washington there. So +8.5 for 2 units, +9 for a unit. We got Mississippi State +8 for 2 units. Already gave you guys that one. Mississippi State's a good team. I still don't think the country's like recognized it yet. They're a good team. We told you preseason that we liked what they had on line of scrimmage. Not that they're the most talented line of scrimmage in the SEC by any means, but they're the largest. So just physically moving them is difficult. I'm concerned still with Tennessee in terms of run defense. Mississippi State's at home. Cowbells are going. Tennessee's coming off a very emotional game that they put everything into. Playing Georgia's also tough physically for the game that you have the next week. And Lebby has been improving almost every week since week 1 of last year, honestly. They got lucky with the big win against ASU with the busted coverage late on the deep ball, but that did also jolt their team, and we think they have enough here to keep Tennessee close. I think they're live. There's some people who would argue with me on that, but I think they're live. I'm also not sold on Tennessee completely. That's another one I was chatting with Sam about. I don't know how much of that Georgia-Tennessee game was like Georgia has issues on defense, and how much of it too was also like Tennessee hit a lot of big plays. Just do you think about that? They had a lot of huge plays, and that's not really sustainable long season in terms of like building offensive production. Like, I was more impressed with what Tennessee did to Syracuse week 1 than I was with the Georgia game, if that makes sense. And I'm not impressed with Syracuse defense, so yeah. Then our bangers, the ultimate YouTube split screen viewing for tonight. We have Alabama +3.5 for 3 units. There's a sense of wrong team favored here. This is a pretty good matchup for Bama, as long as the offensive line shows up. So you have to take the offensive line is settled and they don't look like they're not getting pre-snap penalties. They're not double blocking one guy while another free rusher comes at Ty Simpson. The real matchup advantage that Georgia has is in that Gunnar Stockton is a mobile quarterback, but he isn't like Castellanos mobile. He's got a much better arm than Castellanos. He throws a better ball. But Alabama's secondary is so good. Like, they're so good. And the Georgia wide receivers, yes, this is the best wide receiver core Georgia's had in a while. But they're not good enough to where they're going to be getting massive separation against this Alabama secondary all game long. I like this one to be tight. I like this one to be defensive. but with 3 in the hook, that's where you want to be on this side. So that's why we took Alabama plus 3.5. And then in the last game, we have Penn State minus 2.5 for 8 units. Take it up to 3. If you could only get the 3.5, lower the unit amount. But ultimately, I think this game ends up looking very, very similar to like the Ravens and the Lions Monday night, where the final score was Lions 38-30. But if you watch that game, the Lions beat the shit out of the Ravens. I think when you watch this game tonight, you're going to feel, Penn State significantly better. Penn State significantly more physical, significantly pressuring. Penn State like 250 plus rush yards. Oregon under 100 rush yards. I think you're going to see Moore have some struggles for the first time at QB. I think the atmosphere is going to jump off the page to you. Penn State's a better team. They're a more experienced team. A lot's being made of like the talent composite and how Oregon has a better roster. Yes, if you include freshmen and sophomores who will not play in this game tonight, Oregon has a better roster top to bottom. Oregon has a better roster if you're looking at a 5-year outlook or a 4-year outlook or a 3-year outlook. But for the players that will play tonight, the ones that will actually see the field, Penn State has more players who will be playing on NFL teams week 1 next year than Oregon does. And they've been building towards this, and Knowles gave Stein fits last year in the Rose Bowl. I just don't understand all the love for Oregon coming into this game. I really don't. This line was Penn State minus 7 preseason, and we got it Penn State minus 2.5. And then like there hasn't been a big injury issue or anything like that. People are like, oh, Penn State doesn't look good. Penn State's done anything they've tried to do. Aller hasn't completed that many downfield passes because he hasn't attempted them. Like they haven't needed to. Like they've just been they played like 3 high school teams. Just hand the ball off, run up the middle, hand the ball off, run up the middle, hand the ball off, run up the middle. Oh, it's a 2-minute drill. Okay, let's go score a touchdown. Like people are putting way too much stock into what Oregon's done. Oregon's offensive system is a high-flying, fast-paced, high-scoring offensive system. Penn State's is not. So like yeah, of course, like when they're playing shit competition, Oregon's put up more points because that's what they're supposed to do. That's what they want to do. That's their style. That's how they play ball. In 2023, based on metrics, based on like points per play, total offense, yards, all that stuff, USC had a better offense than Michigan. And I'm just talking about fact database, things like that, right? Anyone who watched college football in 2023 knows that Michigan had a better offense than USC. And that's because through the context of what Michigan was trying to do on offense, they executed it. USC has Lincoln Riley's high-flying, high-scoring offense that put up a lot, yes, but it wasn't as good of an offense as Michigan. And efficiency metrics and all those things showed you that. And I'm not saying Penn State has better efficiency offensive metrics than Oregon does right now. I'm saying that it's through 3 games, and Penn State has executed what it is that they've tried to execute. And Oregon has too. But in this game, and then especially with the significant advantage that Penn State has on defense, getting 2.5 is something that you have to pounce on. So Penn State minus 2.5 for 8 units. And that is it. Enjoy your College Football Saturday. We got bangers all day long. Make sure you wake up Sunday morning. We will have a community post for you for the Vikings-Steelers game. And then we'll come at you with our video Sunday for all the plays in the 1 p.m. and the 4 p.m. and then Sunday Night Football. Have a great day. Enjoy some of this last summer weather. It's hot as fuck outside. But yeah. Thank you guys. Appreciate it very much. Enjoy College Football Saturday. Let's have a day.